Hi, and welcome back to the Planet Reef Astro Channel. My name is Louis Mercado. I've been away for a while. I had some health issues I had to take care of during the summer. And I should have had this video up quite a while ago, but every time that I went to film, something got in the way. However, this is going to be a short video to tell you just what happened during the summer. As you can see behind me is a Celestron RASA 8 telescope. It's on an AM5 mount, has Prima Luce Los Mandy bars on the bottom and on the top, has a mini PC with a Pegasus Astro Ultimate Power Box version 2 shield by AstroZap, and it has a ZWO ASI 533MC Pro on the front. Well, this is not my original RASA. My original RASA, I was making a video on some improvements that I was making. I was flocking the tube. I was cleaning the mirror because it had dust and had quite a lot of little specks on the inside of the corrector plate. And I found out that you can just take the rear cell of the RASA does not have bolts on the inside like the front corrector plate does. So you can actually just slide the mirror out and you can clean from the back or remove the whole cell in the front and put it back. So what I did was I removed the front cell afterwards and I glued the bolts to make them captive so I could remove the front cell and not have to worry about discombobulating the collimation. Removed the back mirror and cleaned it. It was very nice and clean. Cleaned the corrector plate. Everything went back very well. I flocked the inside of the tube. It was very, very dark, no reflections that I could see. And I put it all back together and everything was fine. I put it down, however, in a standing up position on the floor temporarily because I had my Edge HD8 on the mount and I needed to take that one off. And it got knocked over and the corrector plate smashed into 1,000 pieces. So I thought about it and I said, okay, I ordered a new one from Focus Camera in Brooklyn, New York. And it got here, it looked perfect, everything was fine, except that I noticed that there was a lot of dust inside of the tube itself. And that bothered me. It's a $2,000 scope and it should not come with that amount of dust in it from a sealed package from the factory. So I immediately put in a call to Celestron and they asked me to send pictures, which I did. And they agreed that there was a little too much dust inside for a brand new scope. And they offered to have me ship it to them and they would pay the shipping back and forth for a clean and a collimation. So, okay, no problem. I got the shipping labels and I packed up the scope. Now, originally when I got the scope right out of the box, I had turned the focuser, racked it in, racked it out, and I felt like a thunking sound, which I did not know where it was coming from, but it was definitely from the mirror traveling. It felt like it got stuck on something. So I told Celestron about that, and they seemed to think that it was maybe the grease needed to be spread a little bit better on the tube because it was new. I said, okay, that sounds plausible, but I was still a little suspicious. So when I put it in the box to send it back out, I turned the focuser again, and this time the whole focuser knob with the shaft of the bearing came off. It was literally just sheared right off without me putting not even so much force. I turned it once and it completely came off, and there was no stock, so there was nowhere to put the the rotator, the focuser knob back on. The stalk was inside. So I informed Celestron of this, and they said, well, they could repair the scope. Now, I had the scope at this point 3 days total, and I didn't feel that repairing a scope that should have come perfect from the factory was a good thing. So I had a 30-day return window with focus camera, and so I called them, and they said, return the scope, and we will replace it. So I packed up the scope. Celestron said to be very careful packing the scope. They also said to me that the dust was probably from the focuser being damaged in transit. I'm not so sure I agree with that, but okay. However, they told me that these scopes are not put in, they're not assembled in a clean room, which when I thought about that, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me because I don't want any dust on my corrector plate, much less behind my corrector plate in a brand new scope. And there was way too much they use Loctite on the screws that they attach things to. And it seemed like some of that Loctite might have peeled off, and it gets attracted to the corrector plate on the inside, and it's very unsightly. I know it does not affect the view much, if any. However, that wasn't the point. It's a brand new scope, and I expect a little bit higher standard for $2,000. It's not the most expensive scope in the world, but it's certainly not cheap. And we don't have a big choice right now with Schmidt-Cassegrains, as Meade closed. And so Celestron is really the only game in town when it comes to the RASAs and Schmidt-Cassegrains right now. I don't know of anybody offhand that's making any kind of Schmidt-Cassegrains, but we don't have much of a choice, so I expect better for my money. And I'm very picky about cleanliness, about the optics, and I just want things to work. So I exercised my option to have it exchanged. I shipped it back to Focus Camera. They inspected it, said no problem, and they shipped me out a new one. The new one, hardly any dust that I could see inside, at least right at the beginning was no dust at all, and that was good. However, the focuser still had a clunk to it when I racked it in and racked it back out. But that subsided. So that explanation about the grease being a little not spread evenly out might make a little sense. I have it set up with a ZWO electronic focuser. I run this with either the mini PC or with a ZWO ASI Air Plus, depending on where I'm going and what I'm doing and how I'm feeling. So that worked out. The Focus Camera in Brooklyn, New York honored their exchange because it was within 30 days, and they sent me out a new one right away, overnight actually, and I had no issues with them, and I bought from them before and never had a problem. So this was something that came out of the factory, either defective or it was dropped or something along the way. Don't know, and don't really care. I expect better of a company to send me a piece of equipment that's very costly with no flaws in it from the beginning. I expect it to be clean from the beginning. I don't want to have to correct somebody else's problems. And when I was told that the scope was not assembled in the clean room, I have a Meade 8-inch Schmidt-Cassegrain LX85, and that had no dust anywhere on it when it came to me. Now, I'm not saying that Meade is a better telescope. Both of them are 8-inch Schmidt Cassegrains, and they both work the same way, except that the Meade is not Fast-Star compatible. I have a Hyperstar, Starizona Hyperstar version 3 for my 8-inch, and I also have a Starizona version 4 for my 9.25 inch, and then I have the RASA. So I love catadioptric telescopes. It's just something about them that I've always liked and always enjoyed. But I realized that Celestron, although they're a great company, make great instruments, their quality assurance needs a little tweaking. And I'm worried that going forward with this new year in 2025, as you all know, there's talk about tariffs and prices are going to be going up. And I've heard this from a few people from different companies that have said that the prices will be going up on anything that we buy, which these things are already expensive to begin with. And it's not like we need these things. We want these things. So it's an expense that we take on that's not essential. And I'm retired, so I'm on a fixed income. So every piece of equipment that I get has to be thought out and has to be worth the investment for me. I had my RASA since 2016, my old RASA, and I love that telescope. And that one never had a thunk inside or thunking sound in the focuser at all, ever. Gave me great pleasure to use that scope. The new one has not had first light yet. It's set up. I've been tweaking it, and I have the Giotto flat panel that I want to figure out how to get it on this scope. I want to automate it, but the bar that they sell is very long, and I'm not crazy about putting a very long bar that extends all the way up to the end of the dew shield. Plus, it adds to the weight. So I'm trying to figure out a different thing once I add the alto motor for it. And I intend to also review the flat panel made by Deep Sky Dad, the observatory panel, when it comes out somewhere at the beginning of 2025. So just a cautionary tale: when you get your scope, inspect it, turn the knobs, make sure everything is good, make sure there's not too much dust. Don't accept lower quality assurance or a faulty inspection. You pay a lot, you work hard for this money. It's a hobby we should be enjoying, and we don't need to be correcting poor quality control from the companies. We need to hold them to a higher standard. And don't get me wrong, I love Celestron telescopes, but I don't appreciate getting something that's a little dirty and faulty from the beginning. And this was out of the box. The experience was not good. I was made whole by Focus Camera, and I really appreciate them. And if you live in New York, or even if you don't, you can order from them. They are not a sponsor. They're not paying me. I just have dealt with them in the past, and I've had a good experience so far. Nothing negative to say about them. I will be coming out with a video review of the Prima Luce Lab setup on my Edge HDC 8, particularly the low-profile electronic focuser, the Isato, and hopefully that'll be coming in. That will be a sponsored review. The The opinions are mine. They have no say as to the content, but I was sent the unit from Woodland Hills Telescope and Camera, and I appreciate Farah and the gang down there for doing that. And I will let you know how it's set up and show you around the scope everything I have set up. And I will also be sending a shout out to David from the Astro DNA Observatory channel. He sent me some collimation aids that are very simple. They go around the scope and they just point, and you can turn them around so you can point to the screw that you need to tweak in order to get your scope collimated, and I appreciate him very much. So if you're not a subscriber to his channel, please go over there to Astro DNA, check out his stuff. He's got a nice observatory. He deals with a C11 that he just acquired and renewed and started doing some work with that, and very nice guy, and I appreciate his work. So, you know, Astro DNA, very good channel. And I will see you hopefully soon with the next review. Thank you for being a subscriber to my channel. I'm sorry that I haven't been active during the months after NEAF, but things couldn't be helped. But I'm back and looking forward to pushing this channel even further. So until next time, thank you and clear skies.